2:17 time. We're looking forward to this. Stephen Fleming joins us. Thank you, mate. It's great to have you back on the program.
Thank you, Marty.
Congratulations on that wild win in the Chennai Super Kings get up in the last two balls.
Man, mate, it was crazy, wasn't it? It was. It felt like a never-ending sort of dream/nightmare. It went over the 2 days with the rain the day before, and then for it to come down, a 2.5-month season to come down to those two balls was, it's pretty tough on the old ticker.
That's why they pay you the big bucks to be the coach, mate. I mean, with 2 to go, and you had to hit what you needed. I think 10 runs did it, but I mean, basically, one had to clear the fence. What were you actually thinking at that time?
Oh, I was thinking the worst, to be honest. The chances are pretty slim, and just the momentum of that over, he bowled absolute 4-gun Yorkers, which going into the over needing 13, you hope that there's a bit of pressure and a good bowler's, the best bowler's missed, but he was right on the money. So for him to do something different, or for us to create a change in momentum, was going to be either a great shot or a poor delivery, and thankfully it was a great shot because the delivery only missed by inches, and that's just how good these guys are these days at hitting best bowling or getting the ball over the fence when you need to, and that's as timely as you get. So the fifth ball was the one that won it really, and then it was down to 50-50, and we got on the right side of it. And to be honest, mate, I'd had 3 last ball finishes and sort of 2 one-run finishes. We were just missed out, so I was pretty quickly into that sort of outcome. So I was trying to sort of deal with the emotion of probably losing another one, but then the elation of getting across the line was immense.
Yeah, did you actually prepare yourself at that stage for, whatever you were going to say to the lads and say, oh, look, we got bloody close, or do you not even let that enter your head until the final ball's bowl?
If I was being a dick, I'd say I never let it get into my head, but it was well and truly in my head because we'd experienced that before. We'd come so close, and there's a lot of emotion goes with an IPL season. There's so much colour and vibe, and the crowd and the energy that goes along with the campaign that you can't help but getting a little bit outcome based, and that's one of the biggest challenges we deal with the players, is to stay present and just deal with what's in front of you rather than the 110,000 that are screaming for the right result. So, yeah, you do slip to that outcome when you get down to 2 to go. You think, geez, how's he going to get these away for 10? So you do start to think about the last couple of balls. Because to be honest, as a coach, you're a spectator as well. There's nothing you can do. So really, you're just a fan sitting there hoping for one of your players to do it.
Stephen Fleming with his coach Chennai to your 5th win, mate. And what I love hearing in your voice, I can tell already, it's still as exciting for you, isn't it? You love it as much, don't you?
Well, I do. There's some aspects that I don't enjoy as much. It can be pretty demanding 2.5 months. You've got these 25 cricketers who all want to play. Some of them are captains of countries, big countries, Ben Stokes, for example. So you've got a lot of man management, and the energy around that can often be a little bit taxing. Every day you're sort of making sure that each player has a bit of purpose, and the ones that are going well for you are really on song. So there's a lot that goes into it, and I think that's why you get that emotional connection, is that it really grabs you, and the country itself, India, just get behind it, and it's just massive, and it's getting bigger. We had almost a farewell tour for Dhoni this year. So every ground we went to was basically a home ground. It was yellow. Even Eden Gardens, which is a staunch Kolkata stronghold, that was predominantly yellow jerseys in the crowd. So there was a real desire to get it done. I'm going to come back to that, trying to get away from outcome-based thinking and into what we needed to do. And to be honest, I didn't feel we were the best side, and maybe there's something in that. We were uncomfortable all the way through, but we just kept getting results, and obviously that's the key to any tournament.
Can you rank them? Do you rate them, the 5 wins? What is one better than the rest?
There is one, the 2018, where the franchise got banned for 2 years. Coming back in 2018, re-entering the competition and winning it, sort of stone cold from there was massive. There was a lot of, like you talk about emotion, but there's a lot of energy went into that reintegration, the competition and expectation, and to get through that one, I think was pretty special. But they all, you can't really rank them. They're all really special. To win one is amazing, but to have the opportunity to feature in a number of finals and get 5 of them, I'm just really proud of that consistency and what is a pretty inconsistent game.
Flem, I talk to Dawley every week, and while he's at the IPL, and it just seems
by the pool with his pina coladas, or is he generally working?
Well, I'm just saying, when he's not, he's on the golf course, of course. So you've got to interrupt the 17th and 18th and his 30-foot eagle putt and things. But he just talks about this tournament has just gone from strength to strength to strength. It keeps getting bigger, doesn't it?
I don't think it could, but I think this year was markedly bigger. I couldn't believe the energy from the crowd and the following. It's always been a little bit frantic, but it just, for some reason, just went to another level. And maybe a little bit sort of COVID, I'm not sure, but it was just electric to be part of. And every game was, certainly for us, was sold out with people outside wanting to get in. And it just creates such an environment for these players and for the competition to sort of show off some skills. The other thing, Marty, is it's very close. The rules where every 3 to 4 years, you basically have to slice your squad, and you can only keep 4 players out of 25. And it's really heartbreaking. You can sort of emotional attachment to these players if you've done well, or even if you haven't done well, and you're trying to drive them to more success. But to lose almost about 90% of your players and then try and reconstruct the squad, it's quite tough. But what it does do, it allows the competition to stay very close. So every sort of 3 years, you have different heroes and villains in different shirts. And one of the risks is that the fan base don't identify with the teams. But I'll tell you what, they're identifying in numbers that you just couldn't dream about. It's incredible.
It was the 20th anniversary yesterday of the official birth of T20 cricket, county cricket. And, I remember I've talked to you about this a lot over the years. And in 1997, Marty Crowe came to the basin and he had his Max cricket. And, people kind of scoffed at that, some of the innovations. But really, that's where it was born, wasn't it? In your mind, was that the original concept?
100%. 100%. Marty Crowe had it in his head. He knew that there was another form of the game that was going to take it forward. And the only criticism you say it was just a little overcomplicated, where Marty tried to put a lot of his learnings into it, like playing straight, which is important to him, the 2 innings to keep the game close. And it just maybe overcomplicated the format. But, man, he was close. And the idea to create that type of game was no doubt from him.
What chance that you are going to, at some stage, start coaching us in white ball cricket? This has been talked about a hell of a lot. It was raised while you were actually over in India. I don't know whether you saw the headlines or not, but, a lot of people have come out and said this. Good people have come out and said this. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, we flirted with it. I had a little bit of time and a gap after before the last World Cup when went into camp with Gary and the guys for sort of 6 days. One of the challenges is that we don't play a lot of T20 cricket in between World Cups. There might be 1 or 2 here or there, or the odd series. So there's not actually a job just sitting there saying, hey, be the T20 coach. It would almost sort of have to be the white ball coach, which is a little bit more demanding in terms of time. So the relevance of these series and how that looks is something for discussion. But it's not through my desire to help the Black Caps. In fact, my relationship with a lot of these players is very strong, not just the ones I work with in India, but a lot of the current group have made a real point to spend time with them. I get to see them during IPL. I got to see them through a little bit of commentary and talking to them and getting them involved in sides at certain times. So my relationship with this group is really strong, which is good. It's just around opportunity and timing, and World Cups seem to be the ones that might present an opportunity. Never say never at all, because I'm a massive fan of this group, but in terms of my commitments to family and also time, that's still a big part of my planning.
So in terms of the One Day World Cup, Stephen Fleming is with us coming up later this year in India. Do you have any involvement at all at the moment?
No, I haven't. I had a quick chat to Tim in India. Unfortunately, from the point of view of doing that job, I've got my franchise have bought a team in Texas, so I'm heading off to Texas in July. And then
What?
Yeah, howdy, y'all.
What?
And then, and then I've got the 100 after that, which I signed up for last year before these other teams sort of came on the radar. And the other team I bought in their spending spree is a team in Johannesburg. So this year, it's actually a little bit busy. I'm having to do some genuine work, Marty, which is clogging up the calendar. So going back to India later in the year is not for me, unfortunately.
What are they going to go cricket in Texas? Really?
Yeah, well, the first ever international game was in America. It was America versus Canada, I think back in the 1800s. So there is a bit of history there, and there is a desire to bring it back. So there's 4 of the IPL teams have bought 4 out of the 6 franchises, and the other 2 are from big players in Silicon Valley. So there is some money there, and so there's a World Cup coming up, T20 World Cup coming up in the not too distant future in America. So there's as good a chance of any to get this up and running. There's different groups have tried it in the past and come up short. So there'll be challenges around infrastructure and support and governance, but it's worth giving it a crack.
What are your thoughts on Trent Boult and also just as a wider topic, what Brendon McCullum was saying about the need to reset Test cricket to accommodate these T20 competitions and the players who want to play in those competitions? Let's look at Boult to start with. I just get really pragmatic about this, mate. I look at our team, I look at that one-day World Cup, I look at how close that we've been, and I think if this guy is fit, he's on form and he wants to play for us in that, I don't have a problem with it. What's your thoughts?
No, and on the surface, I feel the same. The only time I got a little bit, it's a tough one, was when the players had to give up Christmas and go to Pakistan and do their thing, where Trent opted to stay back Christmas at home, and then went and made lots of money in a short format. Others could have done that, had the opportunity, but sort of chose to stick with that Pakistan and do the yard. So I did feel for the players there around that pick and choose aspect. But from a spectator and a fan point of view, I think the ultimate is having the best players or best team available to be put on the park. I think we all would have loved to have seen Trent Boult running that Mount Maunganui against the English, because it would have just been a better competition. And no disrespect to the players that played, just with that experience and his record, he would have made a difference. So, look, it is a tough one, mate. I'm involved on the other side, the franchise side. I think it's almost a tipping point, because there are franchise competitions popping up now that have no relevance, and I think that would be one of the aspects to look at. You've got to have a purpose for these competitions. South Africa, you have only 4 overseas players playing in, so the United Arab Emirates, you've got 9 overseas players playing. So you've got to say, well, how are you trying to develop the sport in that area, or is it just a money grab? So there's a little bit of context that is needed around some of these competitions that are popping up. And to be honest, mate, not all of them are making money. In fact, 3 or 4 of them maybe are making money. So you do question the longevity of some of these competitions that are around. But, of course, governing bodies and boards want a piece of it, because they see what the IPL has done for India, and the Big Bash, and others potentially for other countries. So you can't deny them the opportunity, but I think it will settle in the future. For New Zealand and their contract system, I think the casual contract is a good initiative, where a player can still be linked to New Zealand cricket, but there's just a bit more flexibility around both programs, and that may be the way forward for both parties.
You've always loved your Test cricket, though, and we've got the Ashes coming up, and and when you've got 5 Tests, which is the absolute pinnacle of cricket, or when India play England or Australia play India, or these teams, the top teams in the world. Just thinking that, hey, these things all have to be rearranged around a T20 tournament in the UAE or one in Kazakhstan or so. It just doesn't feel right to me. And I just, I really hope, I can understand what McCullum's trying to say, because, look, everyone has a right to earn as much money as they bloody can during a very short period of a career. But you lose Test cricket, I just think you lose everything.
Yeah, so you lose a huge amount of history, that's for sure, and it's the spine of the game, really. And it is a delicate time, but you look at iconic series like the Ashes, the amount of interest for that, it out-trumps pretty much all T20 competitions. The IPL for eyeballs will go past it, but as a purist, the interest in the Ashes, and even this World Test Championship was good, because there's real relevance. So you go back to the intention of this World Test Championship, and I think they got it spot on, is that there are series now in the next 2 years, Test series, that have relevance, and there have been times in the past that series have just been put together just to appease either the sponsors of a country or just keep the money coming in. And that's where you're asking a lot of fans. You need relevance for your support. You need to make sure that there's real purpose to either format of the game. And the one-day format goes through it as well. You get 3 or 4 match series or 3 match series that don't really mean too much. So you've got to keep providing purpose for the players, purpose for the competition, and then you can ask the fans to stay engaged for a period of time. It's very tough to have 3 formats operating at the same time and expect the fan engagement across all 3 to be consistent. It is going to go up and down. So there is an increase in ICC competitions, and there is a lot more emphasis now on that purpose of getting the World Cup qualifiers and the World Test Championship refined and promoted.
Stephen Fleming, with us, a couple more questions. I'll let you go, man. Thanks so much for your time. God, I could talk to you all bloody day about cricket. Can the 50-over game survive outside the World Cup?
Yeah, mate, I didn't think it could, and that was a few years back. I thought, this is in trouble. The T20 is going to jump into that space, and the one-day game will just fall away. But it's hung in there pretty good. One, it's the broadcasters' favourite because they're getting a whole day's worth of advertising, so there's a lot of money that's involved with one-day cricket still. I think the game might need a little bit of a tweak. I think it's always a concern when you're tweaking a sport to keep interest, but I would almost be a fan to drop it to 40 overs and get rid of sort of 10 overs in the middle that just sort of clog it up. And that way you're still going to have a longer day. And I think the product that I played back in England, which is 40 overs, and the one that's played now was really well supported. So maybe a little bit of a tweak to keep it alive, but it has survived longer and stronger than what I thought.
Finally, so you get back after a couple of months, mate. I mean, geez, is there a list? Are there chores? Is there lawns to do? Obviously, most of us, if we were away for a period of time, we get back and it's like, hello, darling, here's what you have to do.
Yeah, leaves are number one. And they are everywhere. And my darling family have done their best to keep it recognisable, the property, but leaves is the number one on the list. Hedging, thank goodness, is only in the summer months, so that will be when I get back from the UK. But yeah, the schedule's pretty solid, Marty, and it's pretty well documented what I need to do. And in between all that, maybe a little bit of golf, which is my passion, as you know.
Yeah, okay, so US Open, you must be loving what Ryan's doing at the moment, mate. I mean, he's such a good dude. He keeps in touch with everyone in the media, gives us all so much time there. I'm just thoroughly enjoying not only him, but also Steve Elker, who's doing great guns on the seniors tour as well, and Dan and young man Hillier, who's actually doing great in Europe. But Ryan this week in the US Open.
Mate, it's awesome. I've been so lucky to be a part of the New Zealand Open for a number of years and spend time with a number of these professionals. Ryan is a good mate, and he couldn't be more proud of what he's doing in one of the toughest sports in the world, and the way he's doing it as well. He hasn't lost, as you say, that connection with the country and the people around him. So he's great fun to catch up with. Steve Elker I saw recently. I couldn't be more amazed at what he's done. It's incredible that he was able to turn his career around, and he's an absolute gun at this latter part of his career. So yeah, that too, the great co and the like. But even these young guys coming through, it's such a hard sport to get a break and stay consistent, and to spend some time inside the ropes with these guys and admire just how good they are, and still not making it. You just then go, how good are these guys right at the top? They are magnificent.
Best question for last, mate. So obviously your owner, 5 titles, very pleased with you. Does he give you a little bonus, does he? Does he give you a little knapsack to take home, does he?
Yeah, but the rupee doesn't go as far as what it used to, Marty, unfortunately. Okay, right. Just got to keep your head down, keep running away, but he's pretty good. He owns a cement company, so all the puns, he's pretty solid, but he's a good businessman, and he's been a great man to work with and very loyal. We've had some bad seasons, and that's pretty much defines franchises when they don't overreact during a bad season, and they also don't overreact when you have a good season. So just operating in the middle there with a sense of calm, which is pretty much the essence of Dhoni, we get along okay.
Yeah, see, I didn't bring up the old Big Bash, did I? See, I didn't even mention it. Didn't mention it once, did I?
No, awesome.
Always a pleasure, mate. Thanks so much.
Thanks, mate. Good to talk.